Welcome to the Leadership in the Era of AI series. This is episode number 3. And as you all know that this is the age where AI is something that none of us can ignore. But how is it affecting us as leaders? How is it impacting our lives? And especially mid-age professionals with the scare of, is AI going to replace them? A lot of questions people have, but it's very difficult to get those answers. So I thought that I can invite some guests who have been in this field and provide some insights on how is this evolving and how is going to the connect remain between humans and AI. Well, I'm Nutan, I'm a career and a relationship coach, and I thought that's the best way to head mid-age career professionals in that stage of life. So today's guest, I'm really excited to bring him on board. He's Sandip Ghosh, who has been a person who's in love with technology, a hardcore techie guy, working in the most beautiful field with AI, and that is about medical field, where people like him are actually going to help doctors cure us better. In fact, it's about reaching a stage where prevention is better than cure. So let's try and understand what is Sandeep bringing to us on this table on AI and how human is really connected. I'm really feeling so honored and privileged to have him here today. Welcome, Sandeep. I'm
Hello.
really excited for you to be here and answer us these questions. I'm sure all of us are going through that. How is human and AI going to remain connected? How is leadership evolving? And your insights are going to help us so much today. So, thank you very much for taking this time out and joining us here on this session of Leadership in the Era of AI. So the first thing that I would really like to ask you is, what do you see as major shifts in leadership styles or expectations due to AI advancements?
Sure. But before that, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me. I think it's a really great series. I've seen one of the previous interviews, and
Well, thank you very much.
yeah, and it's pretty good. So thanks for inviting me to
Yeah.
this.
So
Uh,
before I brought you in, I was telling people that you are going to be those people who are actually going to help doctors to a stage where prevention can be better than cure. That's, I think, where all of us are heading, thanks to people like you.
yeah, thank you, and I hope I can serve this noble cause for the rest of my life. Cool. All right. But coming to your question,
Yeah.
what major shift that we are seeing in the industry? I'll say there's a lot. There's a lot of shift that we see in the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
But if I need to highlight the major one, I'll highlight two of them.
Okay.
The first one being that right now, leadership is more about judgment than expertise. I'll tell you from my example. Like when I started my career 10, 11 years, 12 years ago, if some decision need to be taken, we would have a group of technical expertise people who are very technically expert in one of the areas, and their input would have been the most important thing. But if we see from how the transition is happening, it's more about the people who is able to ask the right question and question like what are the trade-offs, what is what is like the understanding of the overall system, the context that is kind of like getting more preference. So how I put it is that as AI becomes more and more intelligent, the cost of execution will be more and more cheaper.
Correct.
Hence, because of that, the the leadership judgment is going to be more valuable as we go on. So that's one of the biggest shift that I see. And this is like it kind of defines how leaders will be, like if they're doing better or they're doing not that good. So if they're able to capture these trends, these shifts, they do much better. The second is about the mindset of adapting to a particular way of work, which has actually improved the way you used to work. Again, I'll give you an example. Let's suppose I need to meet a client tomorrow. This 6 years before, what I would do, I would first meet a consultant who talks to that client more often. I try to get the data from the field. So it's like a
Correct.
bot data.
Yep.
Today, what I do, half an hour before the meeting, I go to Copilot and say, prepare me for the
Absolutely.
meeting. And for that, what is required? So now, how will the Copilot be able to prepare me for doesn't depend on how good Copilot is, but it depends on my leader and my mentality of how I let the data flow in.
Correct.
So if the data is in a flat hierarchy, the probability of Copilot doing or giving me more amount of insight is much more if I have let the data be captured. So it's very important for us to kind of believe in, means I believe in that principle, that philosophy, that you learn that particular thing, you use it, and then you trust it. And if you're afraid of using it, I think it doesn't make sense, because ultimately we are at a kind of like a time where there is a technology which is helping us to improve our way of work. So if we are not willing to change our way of work, it doesn't help. It doesn't really help the overall cause. So just to summarize, like I will say, first of all, like judgment greater than expertise. That's kind of one thing. And the mindset to adapt. That's
Absolutely.
these are I think kind of like the major shift that I see in the industry for the last 3-4 years.
That's really wonderful. So AI is as good as the person who's using it.
Exactly. So it's means you are the human translator. The AI
Correct.
can do anything. It needs a translator to at least prompt it or give it the context, and then it starts working. So how you
Correct.
use it completely depends upon you. And for that, you need
Wow.
to come up with a very open mindset that this is not something I'm competing against or competing with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something who can basically augment my set of work.
Great. So that takes me to the next question, Sandeep. How can leaders balance the human element with AI-driven data and automation?
Okay, yeah, that's a very good question, and I think in the domain that I work on, healthcare, it's more relevant, because
Correct.
whenever we talk about healthcare, medicine, it's always the human touch, right? That's
Yeah.
very important. Let me give an example that how I feel, like what I see as kind of like what will happen in the future as well. Uh, I'll give you an as is situation. Say, for example, in 4 years back, I give you how we used to do one project. Let's suppose the aim of the project is to give a likelihood or predict the likelihood of a particular person getting a particular disease in the next 6 months. Let's suppose that's my objective. That's what my model is doing.
Yeah.
So what my model is to do, my model is to give some score to each of the patient. I'll rank it. I'll give it to a physician. The physician get that particular list. He or she will prioritize whom to call for a blood test, or some any other test, and eventually they will uh, see like how the model is performing. Now, cut
Correct.
to 2026. In spite of giving the score and rank, I'll also give them, let's suppose, a context that why this particular patient has been scored, let's say, 0.9, that these are the reasons for my model to score it. So basically, I'm giving it that explanation factor. But will that change the process? Will AI be taking the decision to call that particular patient? No, it's still the clinician, it's still the doctor who is going to take that decision. But
Wow.
what happens with AI is that previously, when I was giving that, hey, this is the score, you call it or not, it's your decision. But here I'm saying that, see, this is the reason why you can call this particular patient for a
Yeah.
checkup, because there is
Yeah.
a more likelihood of this particular patient getting this particular disease.
Correct.
So it's like you let the machine do the things, means basically automate the things, but
Correct.
you need the human to augment on the decision making and also
Yeah.
keep the accountability part. So that's where the human element will always be there. Means that is what I feel. I may be wrong, but that's what I feel.
It's
Even
really wonderfully put. I'm so glad that, this interview is going to help people understand the connect, which is what we are really looking at.
Yeah.
And that takes me to the next question. What are the biggest leadership challenges AI introduces, and how can leaders overcome them?
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's a very relevant question. Okay, let me put it like an analogy that people who have been working in the IT sector or have something related to technology, I believe everyone has asked one single question in the last 3 4 years: that is my job safe? That
Correct?
that's the question. Like everyone, including me, have asked that whether is my job safe. Now, that is one of the biggest, kind of like the biggest challenge that AI has introduced, is that job anxiety or anxiety in the workforce. So that's
Correct.
internal.
Yeah.
Now, is 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 there a way to solve it? There are many ways, but it is more about what philosophy you follow. Means my philosophy is you manage people, but you do not monitor. If you are just monitoring people with simple metrics, let's suppose how many clicks you are making, how many Teams messages that you have done, how many amount of time your screen was on, these are things which distance you as a leader from the workforce. So that is the thing which I do not trust in, that the monitor part. But if you manage now, with what I mean by manage, that you sit with that particular person. AI is giving you, it's automating a lot of work that you are supposed to do. That's giving you some time. You work with
Correct.
that particular person. Sit with,
Wow.
try to let them understand that what AI can do. Help them to take those decisions right now so that they can upskill. Means do not wait for when AI takes up your job and you see that you're not relevant. Sit with them, let them understand these are the things where it can replace you. So you go up the value chain. Means we are
Correct.
human. We can understand the overall value chain. AI cannot. So be that. The other one is bit external. So this is the internal, like the internal in within the workforce. The other one is a bit external, like clients not trusting your output
Yeah.
because AI is there. AI is kind of a black box. Previously, it used to be all like business rules. This happens. You can visualize it. It's a kind of
Correct.
like decision tree where a particular output is coming out. Even with classical machine learning model, we had gone quite a length at explaining those scores or explaining those probability. But with AI, most of the people, even though we are trying to become AI literate, but we do not, most of them, at least like 90 95% of the people doesn't know how
Yeah.
the exact working is behind. So I'll not go into that because that's not the topic for today. But
Yeah.
to establish that trust is one of the most biggest challenge that AI has thrown into. And for that, we really need to adhere to AI governance. So AI governance is real. Like people say that
Hmm.
AI governance is kind
Hmm.
of a buzzword, but no, it is not. AI
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
AI governance. You need to understand whether how you are evaluating your system, how you are
Hmm.
putting your guardrails, how you
Yeah.
are making the person, making a particular person accountable for the decision that AI is taking, because AI can go
Correct.
wrong. So that
Correct.
AI governance thing needs to be there. So as I said, I talked about the two biggest challenges, that is the
Yeah.
internal one, which is about the workforce job anxiety, or and the second thing about the trustability factor, like how do you
Yes.
make external people trust your result?
Right.
And even like the kind of philosophy or the solution which I believe in. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'll say like these are kind of like for me biggest challenge that AI has thrown into.
Wow. Sandeep, I'm really enjoying this conversation with you, and I'm
I'm
sure
also,
people are going to love this. So
okay.
that takes me to the next question. How do you foster innovation and adaptability in your team in the face of AI disruption?
Yeah. So here I think it's a very simple one-liner answer for me. Use it. There is no other way of doing it. So I always keep saying that you learn, you experiment, and you use. Like one, if you are not using it, do, do not wait for AI to be mature. Be mature in using AI. Means
Correct.
do not wait for that a particular system will get mature. I'll wait for Claude Sonnet 10.0. Don't wait for that. Whatever is there with you, use it because you evolve along with AI is evolving. So in my team, it's a very simple thing that if you have an idea, build a POC, bring in front of the the potential users, at least in the internal. I don't go outside to a client to say test it. Go to
Yeah.
the internal user, get feedback. Even if it doesn't work, no, it doesn't matter. It's pretty much okay to fail, but you need to come back at it. So, for example, like a concept called MCP came up, and it at that moment it was like a very trending. Everyone was using it, but it after a few months, it people got to realize that it has a big amount of drawbacks as well. But that doesn't matter. Means we have used it. We have deployed one thing, and when we as a team, in my team, we use AI in not just the kind of the work exactly that we are doing, but also in the peripheral. So we use AI for code review. We use AI to create synthetic data. We use AI to get explanation of the model scores that they're building. So all the peripheral work, wherever we can basically automate things, and it's very difficult for, and or it's very time consuming for someone to do that. We 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 just encourage everyone to use and come up with their solutions. So previously, what used to be like, we used to not do a POC because it used to take, let's say, 2 months time for a one particular member, 50K US dollar. So those were the barrier. But now with AI, those barriers have gone away. So
Correct.
just as soon as you can.
That's really wonderful. So, amidst people sitting in their own laptops, really focusing on AI getting things done instead of reaching out to each other, because a lot of help is coming from AI. How do you really maintain employee engagement and trust when AI changes workflows or roles?
Okay. So I think the answer lies somewhere in the question as well. When you say that
Yeah,
many things are happening. So
yeah,
when so many things are happening, it's meant to be that if you have designed your workflow in a way where the employee is doing the part which is most valuable, it is going to keep them engaged.
yeah.
See, what AI is making the work more dynamic. Say, for
Mm.
example, in 2019, there was a process which used to be like, you do A, you do B, you do C, you do D. Now with AI, let's suppose B and C has been automated. Now, what happens in most of the day? You do A, AI takes care of B and C, and then you do D. But then there can be days where AI is asking for your input on B or in C. So that makes it more dynamic in nature than what it was. You knew when you are sitting in front of your laptop, you will be doing A, B, C, D. But now it has changed. And now, because it has changed, it has also given you the time to learn something else apart from doing A, B, C, D. So
Correct.
that where if and here leaders do play a pretty big role. If you just think that you are going to make AI automate things, and whatever is left over, the humans do it, you will not be able to engage people. You are definitely going to hit attrition. But if you are able to design the workflow in a way where the human is able to take the most valuable decision about that work, that is the most work satisfaction that anyone will get out of it. Because not only that they're doing more, but they're
Yeah,
doing the best part of it. So
correct.
that's how I think that overall employee engagement can be maintained.
Wow. That's a very different perspective that you just put up in terms of employee engagement. That people, when they're engaged at their work, it all really flows so naturally and people are happy doing what they're doing. It's really a
Exactly.
beautiful perspective.
Yeah.
In fact, I see many people doing this that they have really made it an essential component of their employees to use AI tools
Exactly.
and bring them back to work on how it is really helping them. So
Mm.
that's really an amazing part which is happening in the organizations today. It's and it's good to hear that when my role, like I remember as a coach, what I would take time to define things
Mm.
before the AI was introduced. Probably I would spend 2 days working on creating things for my workshop. And
Mm.
today, when I sit and do that, it's the video is created so quickly. The content flow and the PPT, instead of me sitting and working on that, it's all just come out automated. I just need to put my thoughts. So I feel, yeah, for me also as a coach, these small little things, and then I get more time to study what I want. I'm
Exactly.
more focused on my coaching sessions because that's where I really do my work, and rest everything is taken care. So yeah, I know that it's become a very great help, and it is changing the dynamics of way I was looking, even in my profession, when it came to coaching people. I feel it's really helping me do these things much better and much faster, with these things really coming there to help, and you being able to take off that time, because probably spending that time of 2 hours on creating a PPT was not really worthwhile for me. I better
Exactly.
use that to really coach someone and create a difference in his life. So that's really a wonderful perspective.
I just want to add one anecdote. So
Yes,
ultimately, it's the game of adding value to a system. So now,
yes,
if AI is able to automate the things which were used to spend, let's say, 50% of the time,
yeah,
which was not that much value adding. Let's suppose I need to prepare and I need to present a model performance. The
yeah,
ultimate thing is like what I presented to the client, one slider PPT, which has all the like the model artifacts and the results. But in order to prepare that, I used to take, let's say, 5 to 6 hours. Now, if AI is able to help me to reduce that time to 2 hours, I will be able to create a much better story. In that overall, the
perfect.
time is the same, right? The six
Yes,
hours,
absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
create a much better story to present. So
That's
yeah, I
really,
completely agree with you.
yeah. So that brings me to the next question, Sandeep. How should mid-career professionals position themselves to lead effectively in this AI augmented future?
Okay, perfect. Cool. Means I am also under the same running the same race. So
Yeah,
but yeah, my 2 cents on it will be, see, the day you separate yourself from the job and think of a system, that is kind of your ladder to
true.
climb to leadership. For example, if I am leading a data science team of a particular product, the product will have different teams. It's a cross-functional team, and my team is doing great. Like they're pulling up all the tickets, they're performing pretty well, they're delivering it on time. But there is a resource issue in the QA team. Now, if I just keep on thinking that my team is doing great, would that help us to deliver the product on time? Absolutely no. So
No,
I need to go beyond that barrier and think of it from a system perspective. And this is nothing to do with AI, just from the perspective of how you think. From just your owning up your own job, your own task, if you think from a system perspective, that how can I enter into this system and make it deliver, or where are the blockers, where are the bottlenecks? If you are able to identify them and solve it, irrespective of whether it's your team or someone else's team, if you think from that 360 perspective, that's kind of like you start the journey. The second thing with AI, I'll say that it's more about, see, AI cannot work alone. They need a AI translator. The more amount of experience that you gain out of your work,
yeah,
if that domain expertise is being translated to AI to build the trust, to build the guardrail, to build the evaluation factor, that is where I think you start again going into the leadership path, because that is very valuable right now. AI can do the work, but can people trust AI? No. You are the person who can make AI trustable to others. So if you are on the path to establish that, then you are doing really great. So yeah, I'll,
wow.
I'll try to put that as an yeah, that would be my philosophy of how mid career personnel can climb up the leadership ladder.
That's really fantastic. Sandeep, to really summarize few things which I would reiterate for people listening to us is, you started by saying that today it's not about expertise, it's about judgment. A leader's role is to judge, make the right judgments, right? And spend time on that than really collating data. Second thing which
Definitely.
you really brought up was, how can I really be more flexible and adaptable to use technology in my favor than really being scared about it?
Yeah.
Because the more I learn to use it, the more trustworthy AI becomes, because I start getting more relevant information. So AI is as good as a human using it. The
Yes.
other thing which you really brought up was that if my monotonous tasks get automated through AI, and I come here to bring in more value in terms of my thought, how can I better the system? What can I do with what is available? A person gets more engaged at work because he's doing something new, he's trying something new. And I think that's a culture that should be strengthened in every organization, where we are helping employees to take the risk of using the AI.
Yeah, don't be afraid to fail. That's completely fine.
Correct, correct. And like you also mentioned that since many users will still use it, the cost will keep dropping. And when the cost drops, the organization also doesn't really be so bothered about the investment, because that's one of the biggest thing they worry, investment costs. That also
Hmm.
is going to come down. It's all about how we make AI as a friend, a buddy, and really grow together than being scared of it. So the
Yeah.
last bit that I would need from you, people listening to you in this session, what is the last piece of advice you would want to share with them?
Yeah, I think if you are in this journey of using AI, learning AI, do that. Means until unless you practice it, don't be a preacher. Practice it. Be the
Correct.
person. Create a small POC. Create a uh, you know that AI can create apps. AI can create this. Even if it is not in your work, at least in your personal space, you have a simple laptop that can also help you create an application. Create that Android app which you thought of creating 10 years back. Right now, you have the opportunity. You have the resource. You don't need to go to some company to create it. You create it right
Absolutely.
now. So do that. And while creating, you learn, because that, and it will evolve. Means it's not like whatever you learn today will be relevant in the next 5 years. But if you do not start learning it today, you will not be able to catch up. So
Correct.
start to practice, start to use it, and then everything will follow.
Yeah. So that's really wonderful. Thank you, Sandeep, for being here and sharing this, because I believe that if I'm not able to continuously keep learning
Mm.
and updating myself, technology is really moving at a very high pace, and I'll be somewhere left behind. And that is where irrelevance comes in. It's not because of the tech, it's because I couldn't adapt to that pace. It is not easy for people, but as long as they learn to trust it, I
Yeah.
think they'll be able to establish a great relationship. So it was great talking to you, and I'm sure a lot of takebacks that people are going to share with us, that what all they learned from this entire session. It was great having you here, and I hope the purpose that you're here with, really helping doctors to make better judgment, faster judgments, having prevention than cure, is really going to help humanity. So kudos to the noble cause that you're working towards, and we all hope and pray that you really get successful in that.